Yeah, but I think the erasure of memory is intentional. And that's why everywhere history is being rewritten. That's why before it is rewritten to make us forget, we must connect. Yeah, that's what I did in India. I worked with the farmers to remember that 1857 revolt against the East India Company, which shut the East India Company down, was a bread revolt. You know, farmers were being killed for not paying the taxes that were killing them. And so the farmers said, we'll reclaim our bread and our freedom. And because they were being arrested and killed, when they talked, they started to give bread to each other. And that's how the movement spread. When we had to launch the movement for seed freedom, I went back to Gandhi and his spinning wheel. He said, there was an empire of cotton where we were being impoverished, our farmers were dying. What did we do? We started to spin our own cloth. And I said, growing your own seed, growing your own food today is the freedom of today. And those who say these are conspiracy, well, just look at the rules of WTO and globalized free trade. Who wrote the intellectual property agreement of WTO? Monsanto, they admitted it. Who wrote the agreement on agriculture that's destroyed all the self-reliance and food sovereignty of people? You know, everyone's talking about the Ukraine war and Russia. But the reason African countries are hungry is because their ability to produce their food was destroyed by the right to dump by Cargill. Cargill wrote the agreement on agriculture. And then the junk food industry, the Pepsis and Cokes and Nestle's, wrote the sanitary and phytosanitary agreement and created the Codex Alimentarius to shut down healthy food and pushed the food that gave us illnesses, 75% chronic diseases. This is not a conspiracy. There is evidence that the corporations wrote the rules, then it created the billionaires. Now the billionaires rule the world. And I call them the 1%, not because they're 1%, they're just a handful. And when you ask me, you know, what's the optimism? For me, the optimism is a pathetic group of ignorant, selfish men are not more powerful than all the people who've occupied the palace of the president in Sri Lanka. The farmers who've occupied the streets of Netherlands. People have power. We've been made to think we are inert. We've been made to think nature is inert. And all it is a colonization of our mind. The minute we become free and say, we are part of nature, we are creative, and we are powerful. Powerful in a different way. Powerful in the way of Shakti. Powerful in the way of non-violent resistance, of absolutely refusing to be colonized. And from there flows the fact that today a conventional farmer might be farming differently, but that farmer is still a human being, and that farmer cares for that land. And we have to start connecting that which is common rather than focusing on that which divides us. And I think identity politics of our times is being created by the money machine. Because if I'm a gardener, my identity is a gardener. And this is lovely, you know. When the British tried to create these Muslim-Hindu identities, people would not fill the slot of religion. They would fill the slot of occupation. I'm a gardener. I'm a weaver. I'm a carpenter. And then the British removed the occupation identity. And because we have such mixed identities, people would say I'm Hindu-Muslim because people go to the same shrines. Ajmer Sharif. No, you cannot be both, you know, the excluded middle. That excluded middle and then pitting people against each other is the divide and rule that rulers and empires have always used. And as long as we focus on being Earth citizens, we are all connected by this beautiful mother. We are all one humanity. And of course we have different skin colors, you know. I'm a woman, you're a man. It doesn't matter. At the end of it, it's our earth being, our earthiness, and our humanity that are our common denominators. Well, everything begins in the small that makes it. Yeah. The seed becomes the plant. All of these beautiful trees were seeds. And because in every individual, which is interconnected to everything else. The beautiful metaphor in Indian philosophy called Indra's net, that in the node of the net is everything else. Because of interconnectedness and the quantum entanglement, we know that. That was my background. That was my PhD, non-locality in quantum theory. Because we are interconnected and each of us is not an atom in terms of our individuality and autonomy, we are interconnected, self-organized beings. And as self-organized, we can govern ourselves. As interconnected, a change I make. If a quantum particle can make a change to something light years away, human beings changing themselves can start to change everything. And I do feel that simple act of eating, simple act of taking care of ourselves is part of an embedded web of life. That starts to make the changes. If people eat with consciousness, and they tell those farmers in the Dutch streets, we will eat from you, we will not punish you, we will not complain against you, we will work with you to help you go ecological, so that you and we coexist in the future in a beautiful emerging web. That, I think, is the science. Science tells us that. Ancient spirituality teaches us that. Life teaches us that. And that's why I don't think anyone should become afraid that they are alone. We are never alone. Interconnectedness that can never be taken away from us.